warm welcome to you. My name is Carol Jordan and I will be your presenter on Teaching Perspectives, with special interest being noted on my teaching perspective and what it says about me as a facilitator. Teaching perspective, as noted by Pratt et al. 1998, is the beliefs, actions, motivations, and intentions in relation to the manner in which one conceives the context of learning. They have identified 5 teaching perspectives and presented each perspective as a legitimate view of teaching. The apprenticeship perspective sees the facilitator modeling ways of being, while the transmission perspective looks at the effective delivery of content. Facilitating self-efficacy is that facilitator who has a teaching perspective of nurturing. Cultivating ways of teaching is the thought given to the developmental teaching perspective. And finally, the facilitator with the social reform perspective is one who seeks a better society. The teaching perspective inventory gives a direction to critical reflection by facilitators on their beliefs, intentions, and actions about learning, knowledge, and their role as a facilitator. Each perspective goes with both its strengths and challenges. What stands out to me most is the nurturing perspective, learning without fear, which enables learning through promotion of trust and encouragement of self-sufficiency and self-confidence. Its strength is noted as facilitators listen to learners and create relationships with learners. However, there must be balance between caring and challenging, teaching and counseling. In other words, be careful with the relationships being formed. The apprenticeship, joining the club, which transforms the learner from a novice to a skilled facilitator, can be considered as a good perspective, but becomes quite difficult, as there must be a developing of authentic tasks for all levels of competence. I must also speak on the developmental perspective, changing the brain, that cultivates thinking and reasoning skills. My biggest challenge with this perspective is having to choose good questions and provide adequate time for learners to answer them themselves. The results are shown here highlights my profile as a facilitator. After completing the TPI, all my perspectives, with the exception of social reform, ranged in the 40s. My dominant perspective, which scored 45, best describes my teaching style and is a big indicator to my dedication to student-centered learning. This result demonstrates that as a facilitator, I enable learning through promotion of trust and encourages self-sufficiency and self-confidence. This style represents my ability to listen to learners and create relationships with the learners. I must, however, be careful to create a balance between caring and teaching. The nurturing and apprenticeship, differing only by one, are strongly held perspectives, while my transmission and developmental perspectives are moderately held. My social reform perspective with a score of 34 is considered recessive and is weakly held. From these results, it can be concluded that a combination of the strongly held and moderately held perspectives are all aspects of my teaching methods. The weakly held social reform indicates that I do not see my teaching as collective, but rather on the individual. The high nurturing result strengthens my belief and the notion by Pratt et al. 2001 that long-term, hard, persistent effort to achieve comes from the heart and not the head. Shown here, you see that each perspective comprises of 3 manifestations of commitment to teaching. Teachers all have different beliefs, intentions, and actions, and as such, there's no one effective method of teaching. The top line is the threshold for the dominant perspective. The middle line shows the mean of all 5 perspective scores, whilst the bottom line indicates whose perspectives, which are recessive. My nurturing perspective was the highest at 45, while my social reform was the lowest at 34. There was a gradual decrease between the nurturing, apprenticeship, transmission, and developmental, decreasing by 1, 2, and 4 respectively. The slight decrease between these groups may indicate my teaching style is not yet set. In taking the TPI, my focus is on the student and how best I would be able to ensure that they are able to grasp the concepts. These scores further indicate that I tend to encourage, support, set clear expectations, and assist the student in reaching their goals. In recognizing that all students are not the same, there must be a climate of caring and trust, which is a principal aspect of my teaching style, the nurturing perspective. It is apparent, therefore, that I allow my students to have the desire to learn and set clear goals. The consistent scoring in my nurturing perspective indicates that I believe about teaching I accomplish with the use of materials, handouts, notes, readings, etc. My apprenticeship score, with the belief being one less than the intention and actions, is not a main cause of concern, as this sees the students learning at their own pace and capabilities and does not fall short of my belief that student can succeed at learning if they show good effort. Similarly, the developmental perspective, intention, and actions had the same score, whilst the belief was less. This indicates that I do acknowledge the learner's point of view by carrying out the intentions and having actions such as providing questions and problems for the student. Fourthly, the transmission scores demonstrate that I need to work on my intentions. It further indicates that even though my intentions are low, the commitment to the subject matter and my belief in ensuring that the student comes first has allowed for my actions of teaching the topic to be reflected highest. By scoring low and being the only recessive score, it can be noted that the social reform perspective is not a critical part of my teaching style. This result is surprising to me, as my beliefs are higher than my intentions, but my actions are even higher. My actions may be recorded high because even though this teaching style speaks to collectively and not the individual, my focus may have been knowledge rather than for whom and what purpose. The nurturing perspective, which is my dominant style, revealed a consistent score among my beliefs, intentions, and actions. This tells me that I care for, understand my students. I set clear goals and expectations. I provide a caring and trustworthy environment where a student can learn through their own strengths, desires, and the resources. Apprenticeship, transmission, developmental, and social reform, appearing in that order, makes complete sense to me. The student must come first. The teachers must be skilled practitioners. There must be a commitment to the subject matter. The teaching ought to be planned and conducted from the learner's point of view. And finally, little focus can be made to the contribution a student can make to the society. I invite you, through the web page listed here, to take the teaching perspective test and see what it says about you as a facilitator. I take this opportunity to thank you for watching this video and encourage you to like the page if it has been useful to you, and remember to share it with someone else so that it can also be beneficial to them. I thank you.